Welcome to Classic Conversations. My name is Fresh. This is Vic. And Curelle. All right. Once again, this is Classic Conversations. Appreciate you guys from tapping back in with us. Last week, unfortunately, we had to speak on the NIP situation. But this week, hopefully, we'll have a little bit more energy for you as hopefully most of us are feeling a little better, at least this week. With our guest host here today, it would be appropriate that we speak on female rappers in hip-hop. Not just today, not just of 2018, 2019, not just of the recent artists who have stayed in the media, but female rappers as a whole, going all the way back to the beginnings of hip-hop. I've heard it said, and it's kind of a common, maybe conception, common misconception, but I've heard it said that either A, female rappers are not as talented as men, and that's generally been said only because many of them early on had male ghostwriters. Either they are not as talented as men, or that they do not get the same push as men, with kind of a side note that the industry only allows for one female rapper at a time, meaning if there are any others in the industry at the same time, they pretty much have to fight for that number one spot, or for that one spot, which kind of leads or lends to the catfighting that kind of goes on that we always see, whether it's Remy Ma and Queen, Queen Bee, Nicki and Cardi, right? All of this kind of catfighting has been said that it's a possibility that it's only because there's only one allowed. So I just kind of want to jump into that and see what the thoughts are, because we definitely see a lot of that in the media right now. Always hearing something new about the little infighting and the little catfighting between women, and obviously in a state like this where everybody's talking about unity, like that's definitely a place where I'd love to see unity, especially when we're talking about these powerhouses like Cardi and Nicki. That would be a great thing to see all of that catfighting cease and get some unity there, because that would be great for breaking down barriers of all kind, right? As well, it'd just be a good thing to see that, those of us who are in the urban markets see people bring their brands together and all of the things that kind of take place after that. So I just, starting at the top, when they say that female rappers are not as talented, I think we can almost unanimously agree that that is not true.
For sure.
I don't think that's true.
You're a female, so what's your take on it?
I feel like most female rappers probably write their first hit that gets them on, and then once they get into the industry, they get a ghostwriter. That's what I think. I think that's what happened with Cardi. Cardi was writing on her shit at first, and then now she obviously has a ghostwriter because all her whole flow switched up.
For sure. I mean, at the end of the day, like Fresh was talking about earlier, I didn't know, but Queen Latifah had a ghostwriter, which was, you said Tresh by Naughty by Nature?
Well, a couple of them. But
yeah.
more so Tresh, but I think Vinny wrote for her as well, too.
Okay.
Maybe some other.
They was holding her down.
It was mostly Tresh.
Shit, because that really, them lyrics, all her bars, all her raps and all that stuff really carried her full career as far as in Living Single. They were that image, even in the movie Juice. Remember, she was the booking manager and all that type of stuff. So it's kind of I think female rappers, I think could go the same as just with all rappers damn near, but it's just a little bit more tight on them as far as from the perspective of most rappers don't want to help each other because they feel these niggas gonna take my shine, they gonna hop on the record that I'm on and sound better on the record than me. And that happens. I see a lot of people, local artists too, be scared to let other people get on their records or work with them because they feel like they're gonna get outshined on it or whatever. So, I think it's the same thing with the female rapper aspect too. It's kind of like a fight or flight or a sink or swim type thing. okay, I gotta make sure I'm on before I give you a handout type shit, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't want you to sound better than me or end up rapping on my song better than me.
Right.
But I think that's definitely with males and females for sure. I don't.
So who your favorite female rapper of all time?
Of all time.
Yeah, mine is Lil Kim.
I would say Eve.
Eve, okay.
Lauryn Hill.
Lauren.
Was Lauryn Hill considered a
That's what
rapper?
I'm saying, like.
Yeah. She,
Oh, then by far, Lauryn Hill. Like, what do you mean?
I don't even
she
count.
didn't sing well, I mean, she sang on hooks on the Fugees album, but she rapped on pretty much all of the Fugees albums.
She
was a
is a
rapper.
lyricist,
right?
yeah,
But
she's
I
a
mean, she's a lyric. But I don't even count Lauryn
I
Hill
would,
in
is she
the
a rapper?
same.
How you know?
Because I don't. Because well, to my knowledge, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, her artistry goes way further than just being a rapper. Like if somebody say
Yeah, I
Lauryn
wouldn't
Hill, the
categorize
first thing
her
you're
as
not
a
gonna think
rapper.
of
She's
is
a
a
rapper.
rapper. I understand she's a rapper, but I'm saying like you talk about like Nicki Minaj don't do shit but rap. Cardi B don't do shit but rap.
But you got to think about how a person was established. She was established as a rapper. She came in for the whole first Fugees album, which went diamond. Right, that shit pushed hella units.
So that was the first. That was the first studio anything she was on.
Yeah, the Fugees. So she was part of the Fugees, Wyclef, you know her,
Right.
and Pras, right? And they pushed that first album, right? And Lauryn Hill only sang on hooks on that record.
Hey, was that before Sister Act came out?
Yeah, that was way before.
She was killing the eyes on the sparrow.
Oh yeah, she could. But that was really the first time a lot of us knew that she could sing like that. She was just singing like, you know, ooh, la la la.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right,
that was
right.
the
She
extent
was
of
getting
what
off,
she
though.
sang
Getting
on
off.
the Fugees album. But she had
Curelle
quotable
getting off.
verses. Like that Fugees album, she had literally quotable verses. She was the hottest out of all three. Obviously, Wyclef was like the leader, so
Yeah.
he got most of the shine. But most talented out of that group was definitely her. And then she released that classic record later, which expanded upon her artistry, but was a rapper, is a lyricist that could sing, that could write, and obviously that was classic.
Multi-talented.
Multi-talented, and she worked obviously with a group of very talented people for both records. The Fugees one with Wyclef, and then the second one with the Marleys.
Okay.
So,
well, let me ask outside of Lauryn Hill then, because I feel like she's shitting on all of these people.
Yeah, then
Well,
I would
that's
have
outside.
to choose Lauryn Hill.
No, I'm saying outside of Lauryn Hill, who you gonna pick?
oh man, it's too difficult.
It's too difficult.
Because I'm not really a big fan of too many other. I'm not saying they're not dope, but I'm just not.
I'm saying okay.
To be
okay,
honest-
so
She's
like
so-
this. Okay, as far as like trend setting, the what's the word I want to use? The aura that they give off, and just like the impact on the culture around that time. Me, I say Lil' Kim just because like. Even though, like, you know, Biggie was writing the verses and shit like that, her delivery was crazy, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a nigga like Biggie, the way his voice projects, and with him being a bigger dude, so that making your voice even sound deeper, the way she was delivering her lyrics, it's like, yeah, you can still hear Biggie when you hear that type of stuff, but the lyrics are so female explicit, it's like she really turned that into hers, especially on top of
She owned it.
entering herself as like a
Well,
sex
that's
symbol in rap
That's
and
because
shit like
Biggie
that.
wrote that shit.
Yeah.
For her.
to say, because
Right,
he
her
knew how.
personality.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure. But I'm just saying, like, as far as trend setting, she probably my favorite. I mean, because just of the fact, all these people that's following behind her, like, I don't really think, I was looking at an interview with Rod Digger, and she was talking about, like, how women being sexualized in rap really wasn't a thing earlier on. It's like, it's more of, like, the African goddess, power to the black woman type stuff when it came to female artistry, but
I mean, so that's
now that has completely changed, obviously.
I mean, that's a good and kind of a good and a bad. Like that's cool for what it did, but obviously that was a turn for sexualization to kind of go 0 to 60 real quick, right?
100%.
So I think that it's going way overboard to the to the generation of thoughts that we're in right now. You know what I mean? I'm not calling the rappers that, but what they inspiring for their listeners to become Barbies, and then even to the point where I looked up just because I was thinking about buying a .com. I buy some .com sometimes, and I looked up to try to see if I could buy thought.com.
Dot.com?
Yeah, thought.com.
You a fool, man.
I'm serious.
They would charge like 2 bands?
It's already been purchased. It redirected to the Cash Me Outside girl.
Stop.
Yeah,
That's genius.
it goes straight to her IG.
Really?
Yeah.
She's a.
So somebody had some sense and bought her that the fact that thing is probably worth a lot of money
for sure.
Like thought.com, like
one word domains are worth thousands.
Yes,
period.
especially trends like that, like thought, and how that is like the new hoe, you know, and how there probably won't be another word for hoe that big for a long time. Right.
Especially with Tatiana coming out.
And that it just renews it.
Side note, what's crazy is there was a song called Tatiana in Chicago when I moved out there in 2012.
I'm sure that
Rondo number 9. That's that word really came.
I'm sure a lot of people.
Chicago?
Tatiana, hell yeah. That is Rondo number 9 dropped Tatiana when I was like a junior in college or a sophomore in college, I think so.
Yeah. But yeah,
I was gonna ask, did Trina have a ghostwriter?
I don't believe so.
Yeah,
I don't believe so.
On the Trick Daddy interview, he said she went in there and wrote down her own verses and shit.
Well, I would say Trina's one of my favorite female rappers.
For sure, she's a trendsetter too.
She's dope.
Trina for
She's
sure.
Dope. But you know, it's kind of like, you know, you go back to like let's just say Nicki Minaj, right?
Right.
It's some people think she don't, some people think she do. Honestly, she has always had one.
A ghostwriter?
Really?
Yeah.
From jump? But I've seen like freestyle videos of Nicki too though, like old Nicki.
Those are just freestyles or nothing but memorized verses that they spit to you know, on command.
I mean, how you think
there's not too many artists that can freestyle right off the top, and definitely not artists that can freestyle off the top and it be like verse ready. Only person I remember that could do that is like Curelle. Curelle was that dope to where he could spit like literally the stuff, most of the stuff you hear Curelle spit were things that he went in the booth and just freestyle.
Meek Mill do that too a lot though.
But you know, like there's not a whole lot of artists that could.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Remember, I was like, that's like a art that's been lost within like the music industry.
We're talking about Fat Don.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely been lost. But again, I mean, there are some really dope women that can freestyle, and there's a lot of dope female artists, you know, that are either recognized or not recognized. We always talk about Lady G, aka Jizzle, who is super talented, right, and is very appropriate for this conversation for one reason or another.
Right.
But you know, Rhapsody is super dope, like a dope.
Rhapsody probably dropped the hardest album, one of the top 5 hardest albums last year.
Like she's definitely lyrically, she's probably the nicest female that, you know, in the last year or two, lyrically. You know, maybe she doesn't have the push. She definitely has some good records from Ninth Wonder. Obviously, she doesn't have that look, you know, that sales, which is kind of goes into the same thing. You know, another question.
Rhapsody?
Yeah, Rhapsody. Yeah. So it kind of lends another question to this whole conversation is, does it?
Too hard, you know.
Yeah. Does it have to be sex sales? Do they have to be?
I mean, I'm not saying
like, can a woman be as big as Nicki and Cardi without twerking?
They gotta be like young M.A. Like they gotta look hard, almost be damn near dyke to not have to be sexual.
Yeah, I think it's like that same conversation.
But even that's sexual, just in a different fashion.
I mean, it is.
It is. Like,
she do be with every bitch in the industry, for sure. So, I mean, she's low-key a player in her own right, so she's sexualizing women too. Yeah. Just on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Ain't that her thing right now?
I don't know, Bernice is everybody's thing.
But that's the thing, though. You know, the young women that find her attractive are definitely looking at her like, you know,
in a sexual way.
So it's not sexual to men, but it is definitely still like a sexual piece. So I'm saying, is there a way that a female can achieve that success without, you know,
somebody the game has always, like, I feel like it's always been like that. Lil' Kim was sexual, like, and I feel like every female rapper after Lil' Kim was also sexual. Like,
so maybe that's
she set the tone.
When I went to school, the number one rule in marketing was, well, first off, the first rule in marketing they tell us was supply and demand. Second was sex sales.
Well, I mean, shit, you gotta even look back before.
I mean, that's what everything.
Lil' Kim, like, Left Eye, right? Left Eye, like their whole thing was the baggy, because obviously back then baggy pants, but they had the whole condom, you know,
she
safe
wasn't
sex.
The one selling sexy in TLC.
Well, yeah, but the whole thing was, you know, she did later.
Yeah.
Later she kind of girled up, but they were all kind of like tomboys, the look of tomboys. But through her message, she was the one, you know, like for instance, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, right? They basically talking about like, I'm gonna get it when I want it, right? I mean, she was the one who said, what was it, 3 inches over yard, rock hard, or if it's sagging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's pretty explicit.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not like, maybe not like visually, but then that was the times. There wasn't a whole lot of people running around with, women or,
That's
women
just like,
rappers or singers or anything that were running around being butt naked. It just wasn't the times. Sexually was being through their lyrics. That's where things were kind of, sex was sold. But
that's like Dej Loaf, when she came out, she was super hard, and then she had to start getting girly and dressing different, and she had to switch up her whole image, and she thought that was gonna fly for her.
I mean, even somebody on here that on my live right now, they're working with in the record label, and they saying like if they can't market you as a female like they want to, or as the opposite or total opposite, then there's no gray area in between, basically.
So that's basically saying that for a woman to succeed in the game, she gotta
sexualize herself.
Gotta sexualize.
I mean, look at Il Camille. Like Il Camille harder than a lot of these female rappers, but it's like you don't really see her on the cover. Not to say she's ugly or anything like that, but I'm saying she's not sexualizing herself.
Oh, not at all.
You feel me? Like she's still in that lane, like with Iman Omari and all the people, like really just respecting herself and respecting her craft. Yeah, Rhapsody, even with Jizzle, all them. So it's just like I feel like they cut from a different cloth, but inadvertently though, it's kind of like shit. I feel like they damn near saving themselves too though, because it's like. You look at Cardi and everybody else right now; they subject themselves to so much bullshit just for the dough. You feel me? And then the artists don't even make the most money on the deal anyway.
It ain't even for the dough. A lot of times it's just for fame.
Right.
Just to be relevant. Right. Like that's it.
Right. Because the feeling that being relevant gives you most of the time. Because it's like nigga, we both know it could be a nigga in the club. Nigga can have like 10,000 in per diem money just to be able to entertainment money to have to spend in the club. And a nigga can go home and have to spend that 10,000 and can't pocket it. Go home and feel shitty that you don't got 10,000 liquid. You feel me? So it's like it's a big ass difference, but I don't really think people take that into account once they get that shit in their head.
Well, I'm just kind of going back to the old school. When you look at like we talked about Queen Latifah, let's say like Salt and Pepper, Moni Love, and that's probably a bit before y'all time, but it's before my time too. So don't even. That's not even. I'm not even gonna give you the opportunity, Vic.
To jab you one time.
I had to cut him off. I got to cut him off right at the pass, dude. I can't even give him a little. He think he got an opportunity. I got it. Because that's what he attempt to do. He tried to show me out.
That's how he is.
It's before my time too, bro. So, but shit. I said Salt and Pepper. Emil was cool for the little bit of time she was on Rockefeller. Yo-Yo, obviously Yo-Yo was super dope.
Yo-Yo was dope.
Yo-Yo was super dope, but here's always been kind of questions like. Yo-Yo says she writes her shit, and I believe Yo-Yo, if she said that, she do. But there's always been kind of like some whispers that Q wrote her shit back in the day.
Excuse me.
But,
Thank you.
But back in the day, there were, crews that, like, rappers had crews, and there was a couple females.
Yeah, all the female artists, they all had, like, strong male rappers behind them.
And so, again, the question goes back to that. Like, a lot of times, the talented males in that group were writing for the females. They would know how to rap it or recite it and have their own persona, but a lot of times the guys were writing for them. How does that play in to this whole conversation? Does that say that they weren't as talented? Does that say that that may be a reason why the sexualization came about, because they were allowing themselves to be written for, not really like having their own strong point or their own feet?
Yeah, but when you think about it too, like male rappers also have ghostwriters.
No, that's definitely
so it's
true.
like you can't really take the talent away from them. You know what I mean? That's like taking the talent away from like Drake. Shit, like he's able to recite it and deliver it, but someone else wrote it. Yeah. So it's kind of I don't think it takes talent away from them, because it's still hard to get in the booth and like rap and shit.
Right.
But I think that more women should write their own shit. Like, if they want to be rappers, like, I think that women should write their own shit. Like, that's why Meg Thee Stallion is, like, such a big deal right now, because she's writing her own shit. Like, she's all natural. She's sexy. Like, she got all of it they're saying she's
she
the whole
in college
package,
too.
like,
You feel me? Like she currently in college, so it's like that should make a big difference. Like you try to come at somebody on some you just sexualizing yourself for a benefit or for a gain. It's kind of like okay, you can say that, but on the back end, it's like I still go to school. So it's like,
and she's tough. Like she's tough, but she's always making it known that she's sexual. Like.
Look, the girl in there talking
so then the other question kind of goes back to
Nando. She is for some
what was it?
She gets a great mix of everything, honestly. Like I love Meg Thee Stallion.
You know, she's straight for sure. So I know girls fuck with her heavy.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to the second part of the question: is one spot. Do we think that there's one spot? There's really just still one spot available, or do we think that there's enough room for multiple women to have that high echelon position, of a position, or?
I think that is one spot because I didn't really know that, and now that I'm like paying attention, it is always just one female rapper that has a spotlight, and then when someone else is creeping up, they're like, okay, let me try to go harder. Same thing that happened with Nicki and Cardi. Like Nicki seen Cardi come in, she was like, hold on, like, oh, let me hop on the song with her, and both of their verses were hard.
You talking about Motorsport?
Mm-hmm.
That shit was okay. But I feel
you think it was okay? But I mean, as far as like
the song
being it being like one spot for every female.
But it's like, damn, like how much better would the song have been if they could have really just got in there and really played off each other's verses instead of competing with each other's verses.
It would have been way
You know what I'm saying? Like that would have been way doper if the nigga wouldn't have been.
I definitely think it's only one spot.
Rapping about shit.
There's definitely only one spot, which kind of explains why there's so much catfighting between women in the industry. Is because they're all fighting for the one spot that's provided by that very same industry.
And that's probably why female rappers always switch up. Like you always wonder like why like the first album's not like the same as the song they came out with or something like. Yeah, I don't know. There's no consistency with female rappers. Like they're always switching up their shit. Like Nicki had to come up with a whole alter ego to like make her shit bloom all over again. Like the whole Roman shit. When she did that whole little phase, like acting crazy and her voices and her costumes and like she was trying to hold that spot.
But then again, okay, I'll say it like this though: you can't discredit Nicki on this fact. Like Nicki really went to like acting school, so it's like her really going to acting school. Like that's really part of her.
Oh no, it is. It's Nicki Minaj. That's her. Yeah.
Like it ain't like it's something that she just was like, oh, my back up against the wall.
But it's also not the tactic that she came out on. Like
what you mean the tactic?
Like basically, it's like that's not how she was rapping when she first came out.
The game like that. She definitely. Some might call it evolution, but some may also call it a gimmick.
Yeah.
Shit. Look at what's his name? Man, so it's clear, nigga. Safari was writing a lot of that shit. Nigga, all that Jamaican shit.
All her shit.
Right. That's why bro got bread right now. Like I don't think nobody just mysteriously think that. It's obvious Safari not a street nigga the way he was crying talking about him getting robbed on the road on Angie Martinez.
But I mean the whole time everybody knew her nigga was writing her shit.
Right, but it was still a question like, oh, is a nigga helping her or is he fully writing her shit? Because she'll say she write her shit.
Yeah.
It was kind of like when Remy Ma came back against her diss record 2 months ago.
Shit, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody knew that.
Damn, is Remy Ma writing her own shit?
Well, I mean, I think she may write her shit, but I definitely can tell when she has
Papoose helping her.
Yeah, I can definitely see when
some slices in
like
there.
that diss record. A lot of it was Papoose.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I can tell when she writing for herself and when she has additional help. I feel like he definitely helped her with a great deal of that diss record. But like some of her early stuff that she did with Fat Joe back in the day, definitely, I think she wrote some of that stuff. But
it got pushed through Joe first before.
Now I'm not saying anything is wrong with collaboration or assisting. Like me having been a rapper, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like accepting some help, a couple lines here and there, or improvement. Like now that was whack, maybe try this. But when I say like women being ghostwriter or anybody being ghostwriter for, I mean like never write none of their lines or none of their stuff, and somebody is like really the writer behind your whole persona.
Yeah.
I think that that's the question when I ask, is that fair to say is that a knock on a person's talent when somebody else has to write the whole of their stuff, or their whole career depends on somebody else writing? So if we saying like Nicki, if she's always had a writer, or if she had a writer when she was dope and the stuff that's not so dope is now her trying to write for herself, then that's definitely, I could definitely say that's not a male or female thing. That is a knock on it, but I won't say that women having ghostwriting is a reason why they're there or why they are not don't have the same success as men. I will say it is because the label only, not the labels, but the industry only allows for one at a time, and they have to fight over it, and they definitely fight over them. So that's where you see all the cat fighting come from.
I'll say this too though. I think that female rappers use sexualizing themselves the same way male rappers use like gangbang influence and acting hard and shit like that, and guns and shit like that. Like they know it's gonna enhance, even if you're not really about that life or if you're not really cut from that type of cloth, they still doing it to push the envelope because they know that's like clickbait.
Well, here's the thing, dude. Well, that's the thing that kind of goes back. I'll share this one little quick thing that I learned. I went to Santa Monica Community College for a bit, and I had a teacher at jazz appreciation class, right? And there's a jazz teacher. I'm not sure if he'd be happy with me putting his name in there, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Leslie Drayton. He's like a jazz musician and grew up in jazz. Like his parents were really close to the great jazz musicians like Duke Ellington and Ella Fitzgerald. So he knew them as like auntie and uncle. He didn't know them as like, so he'd been in jazz his whole life. Like he come by it naturally. So he said this in the classroom, right? Jazz appreciation class in a room full of different races, black, Asian, white, Jewish, all of them. And he said those people who own the labels, right, only put money behind it. So he said that as far as urban music. But when it comes to urban music, they only put money behind ideas that they already think of us. So he's saying they thought of us as gang members, drug dealers, prostitutes, whores, right? And so because they don't think highly of us, and they don't want to perpetuate anything greater. Ahead, do it. Anybody that comes in there that perpetuates the negativity, they'll put money because they already think that, and that's all they want other people to think of us as. So when somebody comes with some uplifting or conscious, they knock it right down because they don't want that idea to be able to spread. So what they want is for us to be out there overly sexualized, overly violent, right, overly negative, and they will put odd amounts of money behind that to make sure that goes as far as possible.
Right, and music creates a lot of stereotypes too. Like, and I mean, music is, everyone listens to music, so that's also how, I don't know how I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's kind of like, life imitates art.
Well, thank God for Nipsey for opening up the independent lane and doing his thing and teaching people how to just be a successful conscious rapper.
I feel like that's a perfect way to end that segment for real.
Yeah. So I guess we'll say that life imitates art, not the other way around.
On me.
And with that said, we'll definitely check right back in with you with the next segment. But stick with us. Thank you for tapping in with us. Classic conversation, fresh.
Conversation.
Curelle.
Anyway, Vic the Ruler.
Yeah, we'll be right back.